All right. Yoga time. We're going to have a lengthening day. We're going to get real long with it. So, for that, let's start lying on our back. And just take a moment here. You can have your knees bent. Have a moment of assessing the situation, right? See how you feel. Maybe let your knees move around side to side or hug them in. Just take a moment, see what you find. You can do the full body stretch by reaching legs long. Notice what happens in your body. You can point the toes, reach arms up overhead. And right now, we're just kind of taking inventory, if you will, noticing what you feel and where, and that'll help guide your practice along the way. Because remember, everything I'm saying is a suggestion, right? If you find somewhere that you want to stay or somewhere you don't want to be, you're in complete control of what this next hour looks like. So now that we kind of have a feel for what's going on, let's take a moment to just fully arrive. So if you want to keep your knees bent, you can let them just fall towards each other. You can widen the feet for that if you don't want to have to hold the legs up. You're welcome to have arms alongside the body, or it might be nice to have a hand on the belly and a hand on or near your chest. And just notice your lower back. Make sure it feels nice and secure and stable against the ground. Same with shoulder blades. Maybe they get to be flat against the ground. Make sure there's some space in the back of your neck. There might be like a tiny mini tuck of the chin where you can lift the head and place it back down. And then we're just going to start breathing really deep, bringing that air down into both lungs. So maybe you feel your belly inflate, the ribs expand, the chest lift. And if you have your hands on your body, you can notice that inflation, and you can notice how everything just gently falls back to center as you breathe out. And that's all we're going to do for now, is just notice perhaps how different this breath might feel from what we've been doing earlier in the day. And as we allow the breath to slow down, just giving our bodies, our minds permission, or even an invitation to slow down as well. You can even have those extra long exhales. And sometimes counting can help with that. If you want to breathe in for a slow 4, breathe out for a slow 6, and just give yourself a moment to focus on those long exhales. Notice the parts of your body that are going to want to tighten up a little bit and start doing or holding. Each exhale, let those muscles soften a little bit more. Let your jaw release. Maybe wiggle it around if that helps. And you can use that same kind of idea with anything else. If you notice your shoulders keep wanting to tense up, you can scrunch the shoulders up towards the ears and then bring them back down and let them rest. Sometimes people do it with hands and feet. You can bunch your hands into a fist, squeeze real tightly, and then feel them relax. You can do the feet, any muscle really. Just notice where that might be helpful. And then you can come back to those long exhales again and again. Just like wiggling around on the mat, noticing how our body's feeling. When we allow our body to get still and we decide to breathe and perhaps focus on that, we kind of get a feeling for what our mind is up to, how busy it is, or how jumpy around it's going to be. And we just want to practice kindness with that because it's just doing its job. And those long exhales you can always come back to. That kind of just shows the nervous system that it's safe to rest here, safe to slow down. Anytime you notice your mind bounce to something else, just notice and keep bringing yourself back. That's as much a part of the practice as moving your body around in different shapes. Let's have about 3 more breaths here. One last breath, still letting everything soften. So we're going to create a gentle twist. We don't need to move much, just letting both knees come down to the left side. Now you can keep feet where they are and let knees come down where they will, or if you want to stack the legs, you can. I also like to reach arms out to a T. And with knees to the left, maybe looking towards the right. We want to bring that twist all the way up the spine. Then we're just going to come back to those deep breaths here. Taking about 3 breaths and just notice how that inhale might feel a little different. I'll twist it up here a bit. One last breath here. Lovely. Let's bring it over to the other side so knees can come up. We're going to bring them down through the right side. Arms can stay and maybe look into the left. And we breathe. One last breath. And then take your time. And knees come back up through center. Lower back again. Nice and secure against the ground. Let's do our figure 4. So we're going to bring the right ankle to the top of the left knee. That foot is flexed. You have the L shape happening at the ankle. And you can pause right here. Maybe this is enough of a stretch. Maybe you want to just play with massaging that right thigh away from the hip, seeing what's there. Some of you might want to hug the legs in. You can play with clasping the hands behind the left thigh. And it's always up to you if you just find a place and hang out there in stillness, or if you want to add little wiggles around. I'm a wiggler. It's always up to you. But no matter which one you choose, we're still breathing. Now it's like we can send that breath down into the hips or wherever you're starting to feel that tightness and tension. You can imagine those inhales gathering some of that tension up, and those long exhales helping it soften, even as you hold the shape. Just a couple more breaths for this side. Lovely. Let both feet come back down to the mat slowly. Take your time. Our psoas stretch. So for this one, from bent knees, we're going to slide that right foot underneath the right leg. So that right foot is coming up towards the left hip. You can even reach your left hand down. Maybe you grab the foot. Maybe you're just pretending. Either one is fine. When you let that right leg be heavy, if that already feels like too much a stretch, grab a pillow or blanket or a cat, put it under that thigh. You have a little extra support there. So you can pause right here. Oftentimes this is enough. Or you can take it a little bit further if you want to slowly start to hug that left knee in towards the chest with the right hand. Maybe you guessed it. We're going to breathe here as well. And for one more breath. And just slowly let yourself untangle. You can reach legs long again. Maybe reach arms up overhead. Big breath here. And let's do those same things for the other side. So we're going to come back to bent knees. We're going to come back to figure four. This time left ankle on top of the right thigh. Foot is flexed. Side might feel a little different, so check it out. Maybe you want to stay here. Maybe you want to hug the legs in. You might have more or less tension here, so just keep listening to your body. It's all right if your shape looks a little different for each side. We're asymmetrical creatures, right? We're going to take 2 more full, slow breaths here. Head, neck, and shoulders still get to rest. And we're still going to move slowly as we bring both feet down to the mat. Back to that psoas stretch, our little body pretzel. So from bent knees now is the left foot sliding underneath the right leg. Right hand can reach down, maybe grabbing, maybe pretending. See if you want something underneath that left leg, because it's just going to be able to hang heavy here. Maybe stop here. Maybe hug that right knee in towards your chest. This is a shape I feel a big difference on each side. So just move slowly. See where you need to be for this side. And then come back to your breath. Two more breaths here. And again, slow unravel. We're going to come right into swimming through the air for a bit. So again, lower back has a nice spot to land so you can reach the legs up. Now your knees can be as bent as you want them to be. And we're kind of just assessing the situation here as well. If your hamstrings have been tight, you'll notice straightening one leg a little bit. You might feel that. But main thing, legs above the heart for a few moments. Anything else goes. So you got toes, you can move them all around. You can circle your ankles, see how they're feeling. Any shape you want to make with the legs, wide legs or hugging one in. We're just kind of making stuff up as we go here. Whatever feels good as we explore and just notice what we're feeling and where. You can even add in arms, hands, check out wrists, or maybe the hands are just helping the legs move around. If you'd like to take the last few breaths in happy baby, that's where we bend the knees and they're coming wide. So they're wide and they're coming towards the ground. I want to keep my lower back on the ground, so that might mean grabbing behind the knees or somewhere along the thighs, maybe grabbing the shins or ankles. Some people really like to reach for those feet, which you totes can do. But if your lower back starts to peel up off the ground, consider letting this stretch be more for the hips and inner groin area. You can even rock around with it. Couple more breaths here. And then you can let those legs go. We're going to mush around for a bit. So I'm going to reach my right arm up overhead, and I'm going to let my right leg reach long. I'm going to scooch over to the left side of my mat a little bit because I'm going to roll onto my right side. So your head can rest on that arm that's reaching up overhead. You can bring your hand in front of you. You got that foot behind you still. So you got full control of how and where you're mushing around on this right side. No right or wrong way to do this. This is one where usually I feel a lot or I feel not much at all. So just notice all those muscles along the rib cage. Notice how your shoulder feels here. You can always change the angle of your arm. All right, rolling to the back again. Let's just do that same thing on the other side. So switching, left arm reaching up, left leg reaching long. You can have a bend in that right knee. Rolling onto your left side. Same thing, let the head rest. Mush around, see if you find anything. All right, when you're ready, to your back again. And take your time any way you want to get there. Let's come to seated. No rush. And as we come to seated, any way that you can sit comfortably. So maybe that's grabbing a pillow or something and bringing it under the sits bones. Maybe something underneath each thigh if this feels like a big stretch. Maybe grabbing a chair, do what you gotta do. Because we want to focus on the shoulders for a little bit here. So at first, just move the shoulders around. Maybe scrunch them up towards the ears. Make circles, send them back. Bring them forward. And just still we're noticing maybe this already feels like a big stretch. Go the opposite direction if you're moving in circles. See if that changes anything. And let's do circles in a new way. So bend the elbows really slowly because you might have some crunchy spots like me. Drawing circles with the elbows alongside the body. Moving slow, it's not a race. You can even use your breath. Keeping that slower pace. Opposite direction, if you haven't switched it up already. Okay, so then you can let the arms drop down, let the fingertips come down to your mat. So alongside of you and reaching down and out. So already we start to feel that lengthening in the tops of the shoulders. You can take a little moment for your neck, a little side to side. Maybe you want to roll the head forward. Again, just a little exploration. And when you're ready, you can bring the head up. We'll come back to the neck, don't worry. Let's do our big wing thing first. So as you inhale, reaching out and up. As you exhale, bend the elbows, send them back, and slowly let everything come down. So you really get to learn how much time you have in the full inhale, reaching out and up, taking up space. And your exhale, maybe even leaning the heart slightly forward if you want a little more stretch to happen. Keep moving with your breath. Same thing for a couple more rounds. Maybe one last one if you'd like it. No rush. Eventually, fingertips come back down to your mat. Still reaching down, still reaching away. Take a deep breath. And let's add a little side to side. So you can reach the right arm up and over. Maybe looking up towards the ceiling if your neck is cool with that. Doesn't matter how far you go, as long as you start to feel the stretch, that's enough. You got it. Inhale will always bring you up. Exhale, you can go to the other side. And again, there's no need to rush here. Let your breath set the pace. And just see what you find along the side body. Couple more breaths, so maybe one more time each side, or just even yourself out. Back up to seated whenever you're finished. And let's come back to the neck. So you can come back to reaching fingertips down in a way if you want to keep that length here. Some people will clasp the hands behind the lower back and reach down. Sometimes I like to keep my hands free for just a little self-massage, but you can come back to allowing your head to just roll to one side, roll forward to the other side. And again, no right or wrong here. Anything that feels beneficial to your neck, lingering spots, massage spots, whatever is going to help. But try to keep sitting tall. Keep lifting the heart. Shoulders still get to kind of reach down, away from the ears. They like to love each other from afar. All that as you take care of your neck, whatever that means for you. Still breathing. Couple more breaths, however you want to take them. Whenever you feel through with that, you just slowly let your head come back up, neutral gaze. And we're gonna come, so I'm already sideways on my mat. You can do the same thing. We're gonna drop down into the lower body. First things first, we'll do our bound angle. So soles of the feet together, knees wide. So already this might be a lot. Maybe you want stuff, books, pillows, you're at home, so you can be creative. Something underneath the thighs for a little extra support. Then we're gonna think about letting the heart come up and over. So I'm just gonna round. Maybe the head can hang heavy. Again, just depends on the neck. We want to listen to that. You can be still, or you can add a little sway side to side. Make it your own. Maybe you got hands on the feet and you want a little foot massage while you're here. Only mandatory part is that breath. All right, whenever you're ready, use an inhale, really slow, roll up to seated. Take your time with that. And now, since we're already sideways on the mat, we're gonna reach legs long and wide. So maybe your legs aren't completely on the mat. It doesn't have to be your biggest split you've ever done. In fact, we want to be somewhere where we can press the heels away and lift the toes. Now, you might notice you're going to try to sit up tall, and that's going to be hard. You can always have hands back behind you and just a slight lean back, so you can still lift the heart. You can still lower the shoulders. You can still press the heels away and lift the toes. Some of you might need to lean forward to start to feel a stretch in the legs. I do not today. So just be wherever you don't mind lingering. And just pause there for about 3 more breaths. And again, that can be stillness. You can add little wiggles, whatever works for you. One more breath right here. All right, so we're going to change the legs up a little bit. We're going to bend the right knee, bring that right foot in towards the body, let it land wherever it lands. And the left leg's going to stay extended. I'm going to continue to press the heel away and lift the toe. But now I'm going to sit up really nice and tall, and then I'm going to twist to face that leg, and maybe even the right arm reaches over towards the outside. Doesn't matter if it makes it all the way there. Doesn't matter how low you come as you fold forward, as long as you're feeling the stretch. And of course, we want to use breath for this shape as well. And we're going to linger for about 3 more of those breaths. Taking your time when you're ready to come back up to seated. Let's do that same thing on the other side. So now left knee gets to bend, right leg gets to reach out long. Set up your foundation nice. So press that heel, lift that toe, sit up nice and tall, and then twist towards that leg. Maybe the left hand's reaching towards the outside of the right leg. Maybe you're folding forward a bit. See how this side feels. And breathe. Nice, take one more breath here. Slowly come up to seated. And we're going to switch it up and come to hands and knees or tabletop. So feel free to grab anything if you want some extra cushion under your knees that might feel nice. And we're going to stack some joints here. So we got shoulders over wrist, hips over the knees, fingers spread nice and wide. Play with pressing the fingers and each palm down. And we're going to come right into our cat-cow wiggle. So cat-cow, back bend, belly gets to come down. Heart and gaze shine forward. It's like the hands are trying to go towards the knees. It's just a little point of resistance. They don't need to actually move. And opposite, think Halloween cat, press into the ground with the hands, round through the spine, chin to chest, spread the shoulder blades apart. And the wiggle part is whatever you want. Maybe you want to continue to move through cat-cow. Maybe you want to linger in one and add other movements. You also have hips from here that you can move side to side or around in big circles. Just start somewhere. Remember what you noticed at the beginning of the practice. And just look for those spots that might want a little extra love. A little extra stretchiness. Maybe breathing with your movements in whatever way feels most natural to you there. And a couple more breaths here. And now you can keep those wiggles going, or if you want to do a puppy pose, Sometimes this one's nice to grab a pillow or something for. It's the one where hips are gonna stay right over the knees, hands are gonna walk forward, so your heart and head can start to come down. So if the ground is like way far away, bring something underneath you, bring the ground up to you, let the heart come down and settle on whatever you got. Mainly trying to lengthen out all those things, the chest and shoulders. One more breath. And then slowly walking hands back underneath, excuse the animals, underneath the shoulders. And now we're going to do a little more for the lower body. And we're gonna go at it from downward dog. You don't have to linger there long if you don't want to. But we're gonna tuck the toes and lift the hips up and back. So again, you can pause here, you can pedal the knees if you want to feel those hamstrings, or you can go right into low lunge by stepping the right foot forward, in between the hands to low lunge, so that back knee gets to come down. If you have blocks at home or anything, you can bring under the hands. Your palms don't quite reach the ground, you can do that. But mostly once we're here, what we're gonna focus on are the hips coming towards the ground just as much as they're comfortable with. We wanna keep stacking joints, so we still have knee over the ankle. But then if you wanna feel more or less, it's that left knee. You can scoot forward for less or back for more stretch. I'm just gonna linger here for a couple more breaths. You can stay low. You can start to come up with hands on the leg you choose, just depending on how you're feeling today. Now we're gonna morph it into a half split to really get those hamstrings. So with hands back on the ground, start to send the hips back. Hands can walk back with them. Back to stacking, hip over knee. I'm gonna lift the right toes a little bit. I'm keeping this knee bent intentionally and maybe folding forward a little bit, but again, just depends on how tight those hammies are today. Keep breathing. We're getting right into that lengthening. Couple more breaths here. Then once you're ready, we're gonna walk the hands back forward to the top of the mat. And we're gonna give ourselves a little lizard. So right hand inside of the right foot. You can always heel toe out to make space for that. Kind of like low lunge, but now the shoulder's on the inside of that knee. So maybe the hips get to reach a little lower, maybe not. You can still have something under the hands, or some people like to play with coming down onto forearms. You choose. Couple more breaths here. All right, before we move out of this, a little twist. So left hand on the ground, nice and stable there, wrist under shoulder. You can bring the right hand to the top of this right thigh. And you have options. You can either just twist to the right, or if you want to play with letting this knee open up wide as you roll to the outside edge of that foot, you can also do that, but sometimes it's just unnecessary. We're just going to be here for one more breath. That knee is wide, go ahead and bring it back in, plant the foot down, bring your hand back down to the ground. We're gonna step back, so tuck that back toe, lift the knee, and then start to lift the hips so you can comfortably step that right foot back. Feel free to take a moment, any stretch, maybe that's up and moving in downward dog, maybe you wanna come down to child's pose on knees and take a resting moment, just letting everything fold over. Take a couple breaths of your choosing. And then eventually we want to get all those things on the other side. So back through that tabletop, back through that downward dog, lifting the hips up and back until you feel comfortable stepping the left foot forward and bringing the right knee down. Side might feel a little different, so just check it out. Still stacking, knee over ankle. Hips get to come towards the ground. 3 more breaths here. One last breath. We'll take it on back to half split. So walking hips back till it's over that knee. Left toes can lift, keeping a bend in the knee as you fold forward. Maybe, maybe not. See how this hamstring's feeling. Be somewhere you don't mind lingering. We're going to be here for 3 more breaths. All right, it's time to anamorph into a lizard. So first walk the hands toward the top of your mat. Going through that low lunge until you're ready to bring the left hand inside of the left foot. Make that space for it. Stack knee back over the ankle. Let the hips come down as much as they're comfy with. And then take a couple breaths here. Then we get the same options for that twist. So right hand on the ground, left hand to the top of that knee, either just twisting towards the left or maybe letting that knee open wide, rolling onto the outside edge of the foot. And just one more breath here. Bringing that knee back in if it's wide. Hand back to the ground, stepping back again. Tuck the toe, lift the knee, lift the hips till you can sit back, step back. Now do what you want. If you need little stretchies, take them, but eventually we'll all meet in child's pose. So knees down to the ground. You choose if knees are close. That might be a little more stretchiness, lengthening for the lower and mid back because you're kind of draping the spine over the legs. So maybe you want toes together, but knees wide to create space in the hips. Gives the belly plenty of space to breathe. And then head and heart get to come towards the ground. If the ground feels a little far away, you can stack your forearms up or even stack fists. Have a place for the head to land. It might not be completely effortless. Oftentimes it's not. But see what effort you can let go of once you're here. Like you can just let gravity kind of push you towards the earth just real gently as you take a few extra breaths here. Slowly, as you're ready, from this child's pose, doesn't matter how you get there, We're gonna slither ourselves forward until we end up lying down on our belly. So reaching legs back. Once you're here, hands can come alongside the chest. And just notice how it feels to reach each foot back. Maybe the tops of the feet are slightly pressed into the ground. Notice how it feels to lay long, little tuck of the chin, like you're trying to reach the crown of your head away from the feet. And then with your next breath in, lift the heart just a little. So you could even hover your hands, tops of feet still pressing into the ground. One more breath in. Exhale to bring you down. Choose a cheek. Let the head rest. Let all of your muscles go for a couple breaths. Like you're just becoming a blob on the ground. We're just melting in for one more breath. Another back bend. Wait for an inhale. Lift the heart. You can do that same thing. Just coming up enough to hover hands. If you want to press into hands to come a little higher, up to you. Just listen to your lower back. And then slowly come down, opposite cheek to the mat. Let all the muscles soften. Take 2 more breaths here. All right, this next bit, we're gonna do shoulder dips, so it's a little active, but it's a real nice one. I'm gonna bring my hands wide off the mat, and you can choose how much. You can play with that width. I'm gonna bring my elbows up, so I have these little wings here. I'm also up on my fingertips. So my palms are coming up, my elbows are coming up. I'm still reaching the legs long. You can lift the heart, you choose how much. And as you exhale, dip your right shoulder down and look to the left. You might not need to dip far. Again, it's your choice. Inhale brings you back up. Exhale, dip the left shoulder, look to the right. Listen to your body. One shoulder might be happier than the other. So just modify as needed. Remember, you don't have to force anything here. Just a couple more breaths. Whenever you feel through with that, you can come up through center, let the heart come down through center, let arms reach alongside the body, choose a cheek to rest on. And again, just let all of the muscles soften, let the shoulders melt towards the mat. Take a deep breath, maybe a big sigh out. Every muscle gets to be heavy. One more breath here. All right, one more thing while we're laying here. A big chest / shoulder stretch. So I'm gonna stay on my belly. I'm gonna reach my right arm directly out to the side, directly out from that shoulder, palm on the ground. Right arm reaching out, right cheek hits the rest on the ground, or maybe you want to grab a pillow. And then we're gonna roll onto our left side. So just like before motion around, I'm gonna step that left foot back behind me. I have my left hand in front of me. So you choose. You might not need to roll far. You choose how far you go. Somewhere you don't mind lingering. Make sure the head has something to rest on so your neck can rest. Just a couple more breaths for this side. Once you're ready, slow roll back to your belly. I'm gonna do that same thing on the other side. Just gonna scooch over to the right side of my mat a little bit because I'm close to a wall. The left arm reaching out to the left side, palm down, left cheek down on something. Roll onto the left side. You choose how much or how little. Bring your breath back into your awareness, nice and full. Just a couple more breaths here. Once you're ready, roll into the belly again. Hands back alongside the chest. Just might do a little float up through tabletop, but we're gonna go back to child's pose. We did a lot of back bending and twisting. So I'm gonna keep my knees together to kind of stretch out the back, a little counter shape, but feel free to do either one, knees close or wide. Take a couple of breaths again, letting as much effort go as you feel you can. Maybe letting the forehead rest on something. You can give your head a little side to side. Massage that brow. Now this child's pose is going to take you right into recess time. So recess is you doing whatever you want to do before we lie down for Shavasana. So that might be up and moving and stretching. That might be rolling around on the ground some more. You can make something up. Doesn't have to be any official shape. Just kind of check in with how you're feeling, how your body's doing. See if there's any place that needs a little extra love. Something that'll help you rest a little easier. Twig, I guess Twig just needs her close-up shot. She's looking real good today. About halfway through recess time. If there's any last thing, though, y'all know it's never too early to lie down here. I wouldn't even know anyways. You could have lied down 20 minutes ago. And remember, you're at home, you got cushy stuff all around you. Feel free to grab some extra blankets or pillows to make yourself a comfy little nest as you lie down. And so just take some time to figure out what comfy means for you right now. Lay down in any way, shape, or form that feels most restful to you. If the lower back has been feeling tight, you might have something like pillows under your knees, or maybe just keep the knees bent like we started. And as you start to settle in, again, just start to deepen your breath. Coming back to those longer exhales. You can even come back to that slow count of in for 4, out for 6. As you settle in, notice if there's any last little adjustments you can make for yourself to be a little bit extra comfy. Just like when we are lying on our bellies, just letting every muscle soften. Come back to that, just being a nice organic blob on the earth. Nothing to hold on to. Muscles and bones just get to be heavy, resting on the ground. Taking a few more of those deep breaths, notice if there's any spots of tension. Maybe it's back in the jaw or shoulders. Check out all your sneaky spots. Notice how your hands and your feet get to completely let go. How your arms and legs get to rest heavy. How your shoulders and your hips are fully supported. You get to experience that deep release as all the muscles get to let go. You're noticing everything along your back and your spine also getting to melt into the mat, all the way up to the back of your neck, even to those muscles wrapping around your head and ears and brow, your cheeks, your jaw. Even allowing your eyes to rest heavy. And still practicing kindness. If your mind is still feeling busy, just delight you get to come back to this Shavasana over and over again. Whenever you notice your thoughts floating away, something else. And gently beginning to deepen your breath once more. Maybe that first movement is that full expansion of inhale, slow release of exhale, again and again. Maybe starting to notice fingers and toes to bring a little life, a little movement back to them. Same with wrists, ankles, any little movement, nice and slow as you gently reawaken your body. No rush. It might feel nice to reach arms up overhead, to reach legs long if you want one last full body stretch. or even to hug knees in towards your chest. Maybe roll to one side. Taking your time. Eventually make your way up to a comfortable seated position. We can close out our practice all together. Whatever you need to do to sit up nice and tall. And if you'd like to join me, you can bring hands to heart center. Reaching the heart up into the hands as you sit tall, pressing hands together. And let's give ourselves a big cleansing breath. Fully in, big sigh out. For those little promises to ourselves, perhaps bringing thumbs to the forehead as we call in awareness of our beliefs and thoughts and of clear creative vision. Thumbs down to our lips as we vow to express our personal truth, love, and boundaries. And back down to our hearts as we continue to find our balance again and again. Continue to love fully and fearlessly, and to find our strength and courage through compassion and vulnerability for ourselves and each other as we connect to all of life. And thank you all for coming, whether it's live or later.